for the best coverage of the Jazz, Utes, and Cougars is right here on The Zone. This is JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. JJ out today and tomorrow, and filling in for him is our own Jake Hatch, of course, who's graced the airwaves quite a few times in his career.
Hey, thanks for the invite as always.
Oh, man, it's always good. I was doing the math. You and I were sitting in a booth covering BYU games back in the day, 2010, 16 years you and I have had to hang out with each other. No problem.
Had to hang out.
Well, listen.
Not that it's been fun or anything.
No.
We had.
Think of the circumstances we're sitting in the booth for all these things because we've been able to take in quite a few.
We've watched a lot of football together.
Right, and a lot of hoops. Mm-hmm. And right now, BYU trailing early in this game against Houston, 8-4 in the Big 12 quarterfinals over in Kansas City. I'm just so used to saying Vegas for everything that BYU has ever been a part of.
Well, I don't know if you saw it. Tommy Lloyd just had a comment about the Arizona. He's like, I wish we were playing in Vegas, essentially.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I mean, a 1-hour trip for them to get there.
Yes, absolutely.
And all the folks that are out here out west. I mean, Kansas City's that's a place that people are like, why aren't you having it somewhere else? And it's like, listen, the people who run this show, I mean, Kansas still has a pretty big draw. Yeah. And Kansas City itself, the T-Mobile Center is an awesome venue for these. It's a perfect size arena for these conference tournament games. So I love it. It's awesome. In studio with us. You could probably see him if you're tuning in right now on our YouTube page, the KSL Sports YouTube page. He is Jay Stevens on the program. Host of the Utah Puck Report and also, of course, one of our insiders here for the Utah Mammoth. What's going on, Jay?
Just getting excited to see if Utah can get this off their back tonight, you know?
Oh, come on. Chicago, I mean, I don't know. We watch a lot of other sports, and maybe you tell me it's the same way, because they kind of had this thing going against Minnesota, too. Like, I think going back to last year, Minnesota didn't beat Utah at all last year, and then they hadn't beaten them until this last week on the second night of a back-to-back.
In regulation, yeah. They were 6-0-1
right,
all time against Minnesota.
All time, yeah. So it was quite a bit of a – I mean, that's a really, really good Wild team. I mean, they're one of those autos that are just going to be right there in the playoffs, and they'll be tough. But
they got better at the deadline, too.
I know, and so did the Avs, and we like to think that the Mammoth did, too, of course. How's Mackenzie Weegar working out a couple games in now that we're seeing this guy replacing Olimata on that blue line and really moving up those lines, because he's a guy that they're going to rely on a lot, I think, in the next few years.
Yeah, the hope is to pair him with Sergei, and I watched practice this morning. It looked like Sergei was good to go.
We've heard that the last couple times, so I don't know.
He's a game time decision, but I didn't see anything in him skating today that made me think he was holding back or that he was hurt. He looked good, so I don't know. But as far as how McKenzie's fitting in is unbelievable. And I'm going to say something that's going to make some people upset.
Ooh,
but
let's
go. I went back and I watched every goal Utah gave up on this road trip. And I broke down, like, I was pausing every goal. I was pausing the turnover. I was and seeing exactly where everybody was. And there were a couple things that stood out to me defensively. And a couple times you could tell that Weegar hadn't gelled, and there was some miscommunication going on, and that definitely happened. A couple goals in Minnesota. I think he had a -2. But anyway, and then I saw one of those goals against Chicago was the same thing. And then I also saw Dursey get caught out of position a couple times as well. Okay. And I think that all goes to, hey, here's a bunch. Here's guys that weren't in the lineup before. Here's your new guy from the trade deadline. Here's guys that were injured that are back in the lineup with Cooley and Kerf. And things were going well, and then they kind of messed with the lineup again. They kind of messed with some stuff. And so you saw some of that cohesion and that chemistry that we had been seeing out of the Utah Mammoth so far this season. And that it really looked like they had it again when they were whooping everybody on the beginning of the road trip. But you could see that some of that was just off a little bit. And I counted 5, and I hate to point people out like this, but 5 passes in a row from Stenlund in our defensive zone that went into the skates of the forward that was breaking it out. Out of those 5 in the skates, because I mean the NHL's tape to tape. You should be tape to tape. And 5 of those passes that were in the skates ended up in turnovers. Or no, 5 of those passes, 2 of them ended up in turnovers in our offensive zone. or defensive zone, and then also one of those ended in a goal.
Got it.
So those were things that weren't happening earlier.
Not very crisp. That means it's like the little things, right?
Yeah, and today you saw some of that rust coming off. They only skated for 45 minutes this morning, as they usually do. So they haven't really had a great practice since Uyghur got part of the team.
Got it. Okay.
And Sergey's not really been with him.
Well,
so I think tonight you're going to see – I think you'll see a more gelled team.
And that's – so we had Mike Folt on with DJ and PK earlier this week, and he talked about Uyghur's playing out of position right now because of Sergey being on – it says once Sergey's back, Uyghur goes back to his preferred – position essentially on the blue line, and that should, at least in Folta's mind, it was that would clean up some of the mistakes that may have existed with that. It sounds like that's what you're saying here. Is like, once you get Sergachev back in the lineup, it should clear that up. And I think practice time is obviously of importance to get a guy like that on the same page. But I think at the same time with Uyghur, he's almost playing on instinct in a way. It feels like he's just going out there and just playing the game.
Guy with a lot of years, right? I mean, of experience.
Yeah, and he's so good, and he's just one of those guys. You could throw him in any situation, and he's going to do well.
Well, he had the most ice time in his very first game for the Mammoth. So
that's kind of interesting too, right? But it's just like anything else, and I mean, these guys, it's just like the All-Star team or the Olympics. You put them together, and you guys, you know what you're doing, you know where you should be, but it's not the chemistry that you need to carry you through 82 games.
Got it.
So. I was going to ask you this about matchups because in other sports it's totally a thing where you're like, oh my gosh. Some leagues, and I think the NHL is a little bit like this, like the NFL. Of the big four, there probably is more parity in the NHL than you get in things like baseball, and even obviously you have 10 teams in basketball that are just garbage every year, and that are planning to be garbage, and that's unfortunately part of the game. But in hockey, you have matchups and parity. And some teams just match up better against you. I don't know what it is about Chicago, but those games, that game was. And every game that I've seen them play against Chicago, including the embarrassing one where they lost 4-0 here a couple Sundays ago, were sloppy, just like you were talking about. Just like it was a mess in the middle, which I'm sure and Chicago loved it because they were like, good, we'll just pick up some of these messes that are just given to us, and just sloppy play kind of gets them there. But what is that? Is there a matchup thing in the NHL where teams are just, for some reason, able to get those other teams because of how they match up personnel-wise?
Yeah, and it's a systems thing as much as it is personnel. And if you remember back, I don't know how much you were paying attention to the 90s with the New Jersey Devils and what they were doing back in the day, but they had a powerhouse goaltender. They had some great forwards, and then they ran what was called the neutral zone trap. And that was to just muck up the middle of the ice. Yeah. And that's where all the pressure was. They kept you to the outside, and they would just come at you in waves in the neutral zone to make sure that you weren't getting any kind of offensive opportunities. And that's exactly what Chicago is doing to Utah.
Okay.
And Utah just doesn't have the mindset right now to get around it. A veteran team like Colorado, who plays offensively the same as Utah, you're going to see they have deeper lines, right? Line 1, line 2. They can go against the line 1 and line 2 of Chicago and overwhelm them with speed. We don't have all that depth yet on the Utah side. That's what the fan base is hoping is happening right now. I think they're putting the parts in place. But when Chicago is functioning, and you saw it at the beginning of that Chicago game in Chicago, Utah was just absolutely dominating and picked up a couple goals. And I'm sure everybody thought, all right, here we go, and everything's going to be fine. We're just going to keep scoring goals. Like when we see one go in, we normally see 4 go in, right?
Sure.
Well, we fell into that neutral zone trap, and you start seeing the Utah Mammoth get pushed to the sides, pushed to the outside. Anything up the middle just gets clogged. It looks just like sloppy hockey, and that's what it is, and that's intentional. And the NHL hated it back in the 90s because it was dropping the goals, it was dropping the excitement, because people are paying to see Cooley be the second fastest guy in the NHL and go end to end and do some, some lightning quick, cool things. Yeah. Nobody's paying to see garbage in the middle. Nobody wants that.
Well, and again, like you were saying, it's intentional, but also what happens with it is I'm watching it as a guy, as a novice watcher. In the last couple of years, we've gotten so used to. I've watched so much hockey. I mean, we almost never miss a game at our house because my 2 boys are insane about it now. And it's great because I already know what to get them for all their birthdays. And, we're just already stacked up with too many sticks, and they're on the rollerblades now. And I'm like, we can't.
Oh, I don't
think we can stop it now at this point. But as we're watching those things, you're watching, and I'm just like, and I don't see the game like I do football and basketball and baseball. And it just looks like, oh my gosh, can they hold on to the puck for 1 second? And sometimes you do see the tape-to-tape passes, and then other times you go, what happened here? And when you said that about hitting the skates, I was like, oh yeah, there were moments where you're like, hey, that thing needs to be 3 feet ahead of there.
Yeah.
You know where he's gonna be. Like, put it there. You're the guy. So again, as you see the Mammoth kind of getting used to it, 7 out of 10 points on the last road trip.
Yeah.
When they were 3-0, it was already 3-0-1. It was already their most successful 5-game road trip in franchise history, which I thought, man, that's awesome. That's great. Right now, where they sit, what needs to get done over the next 17 games for them to be able to make this not just a playoffs? It's about holding on to that wild card 1 spot.
Yeah. So, and that's interesting because it's the same thing I've been preaching for a long time. Basically, at the beginning of the year, we had the best power play in the NHL. Remember that?
Yeah.
How much fun that 10 games was? And then it fell off.
Off cliff.
Big time.
Yeah.
Until they were the second to worst, which is funny. The Avalanche are they're still the worst power play in the NHL. It doesn't make sense. That just doesn't math.
They're like, we don't care. We'll just beat everybody everywhere else.
We're going to score 5 goals anyway. But for Utah to stay competitive, they've had to get better at the power play. And then as they were getting better at the power play, their penalty kills started to suffer. They had one of the top penalty kills. It was top 15 in the league, and it suffered a little bit. But 7 of the last 10 games, the Mammoth have got power play goals. And if you just look at that 10-game window, you've got a 35% power play, which would put you at number 1 in the NHL. So that would put you right there with Edmonton. Like they're in Dallas and the teams that are just deadly on the power play. But when you are a wild card team, it comes down to special teams, and you have to be better at it. And I'll tell you, we're at those practices, and they just work and work and work. And the main thing that you hear out of Bear is shoot the puck, shoot the puck. He'll stop, he'll scream, they'll set up, they'll do more pretty passing, and he'll stop them again. And he's wanting more shots. And at the beginning of that road trip, like Keller was shooting 3 times as much as normal.
Yeah.
You expect him to come in and pull up on the wing and start looking. That is the Wayne Gretzky setup, right? Come in the zone, get the zone entry, pull up on the boards, and look to distribute. And at the beginning of the road trip, he was coming in and firing pucks on net, and that was a beautiful thing. And we saw the results, and we started seeing more goals and more opportunities. And the other thing I noticed out of all the goals that were scored on the road trip for Utah is a lot of it started with shots from the defense, chaos down low, an aggressive forecheck, usually by Keller, or Hayden was doing it a lot, and then your new multi-million-dollar guy, Nick Schmaltz.
Yes,
he's known for the forecheck, that famous play.
I was going to bring up. That's kind of what Schmaltz does.
Yeah, 100%. So when those things are clicking, when you get defense trying to score, and when you get the forecheck just being super aggressive, you'll see a Utah play a 2-1-2. So F1, the first forward, the closest forward to the puck immediately goes to the puck. And then the second closest guy goes between that guy and the exit, like towards your defensive zone. So you'll see that right away. When those things are clicking, the Mammoth are dangerous and can easily keep that spot. If they stop that momentum, if they stop moving, like I keep saying, the motion is the lotion. If they keep their feet moving, things will be good. If they stand there and try to set things up from a standpoint, it makes it too easy to defend.
Okay, so how important was it that they got the Schmaltz still done now?
Hugely important. And it's funny because, I know you guys tell me not to read all the comments online and stuff, but I still go back and I read all the comments online. I read, and sometimes I'll argue. But the thing about that Schmaltz contract, and the reason it's so smart, is other teams were going to offer him $9 to $10 million for 3 to 4 years.
They're in a short term.
They wanted him right now for what he does right now, and Utah doesn't want to give up that kind of money at all, especially not long term. And he's not a $10 million a year guy; he's an $8 million a year guy, but he's playing like a $10 million a year guy right now. He's having a career year. The best thing to do on when you're about to enter free agency, and he was going to be unrestricted.
Yeah.
So his agent knew that, and if you saw the press conference and how funny it was, and how Bill talked about his Schmaltz's fiance glaring him down after the hat trick and stuff, it's pretty funny. It was obvious that Schmaltz wanted to stay here. He talked about committing to Arizona because he's loyal to the team that drafted him, and he was fine going through the hard times. You knew it was going to suck, and he embraced the suck, and he keeps getting better and better. And now he wants to see the other end of it. So that's huge. And to see players like Uyghur waive his no trade, and to see Schmaltz commit for a long time just shows you that, yes, NHL players want to stay here. They love Utah, and more players are going to come here. I think the practice facility, the beauty of the mountains, our fun radio shows are just going to keep bringing more free agents in.
I like that last little bit.
Do guys just come in and they get a new contract and then they go, you know what, I'm going to turn it on? Like, it seems like a trope where you're just like, oh, he's going to play hard tonight. You're going to see Schmaltz with 2 goals and an assist here. Those 2 goals are going to be assisted by Clayton Keller because obviously the chemistry's there and they're just going to show it all off. Yeah. This is a guy who's been in the league a long time, and also, but I just don't know how it works. Do guys make an extension happen like that, and then they go, I'm going to come out there and show people like why this is a big deal?
100%. And you've seen in other sports where guys get the contract and then they just don't perform. For some hockey players are a different breed where, and I was talking about this recently, they do not want to be injured and dinged. They do not want to be out of the lineup. They want to play every game. They do not want to watch any games from the stands.
You mean there's no load management?
There's no they hate load management. Did you hear the other night? They told McDavid, they're like, hey, they're gonna rest you tonight. And he goes, no, I'm playing.
I did.
He's
see
like,
that.
I'm playing. They're like, no, we're gonna give you a rest. He's like, I don't want to rest.
Yeah.
I'll tell you if I need a rest. I don't need a rest. That's hockey.
I respect that.
And when a guy gets a big contract, there's more pressure on his back to prove that he earned it, right? And those NHL guys want to prove that they earned it. They want to earn it. They want to, and it's not. They're not trying to prove it to management, saying, hey, I'm worth it. Yeah. They're not necessarily trying to prove it to the fan base, although that's part of it, but they're really trying to prove it to the other guys in the locker room. They're like, look, I know I got more money, and I'm probably making more money than, 6. There's probably 4 guys in this locker room making more than me, but I want to prove to you that I earned it, and I'm going to keep earning it, and I belong here, and that's hockey.
Jay Stevens, you're going to go over to the game then?
Absolutely.
Should be a fun one.
Hopefully, they can break the hex.
There's
tonight.
no way. There's no
I'm
way.
Excited.
Look, just do what Minnesota did to you. Right? You go, hey, oh, they got our number, and then go, all right. And by the way, and Utah had put it on them. What? How they've beaten them 4-0 in Minnesota in the last 18 months, right? And and I thought, oh well, I've seen this before, and then they finally for them. To make it a 5-0 game, they were like, we're going to show you guys. Like, you guys do not have this on us. We cannot do it. It should be the same for the Blackhawks coming into town. Although I will say that anytime I see Connor Bedard out there, I'm like, gosh, that guy does have.
He's fun to watch.
It's something special. Like
his shot is different.
It's different. That's exactly right. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, the way he makes these angles work and what he's doing here, I'm like, no wonder that guy.
I compared it to
a phenom.
I don't know if I said it on your show, but I compared it to Eddie Van Halen. Like. Don't teach me how to play the guitar. Don't teach kids how to play the guitar. Let them learn how to play the guitar. And I swear, nobody must have ever taught him how to shoot because there's so many things mechanically wrong with the way he shoots. But you cannot argue. I mean,
it's effective.
It's like a knuckleball.
What?
And it's got some spin to it.
Yeah.
And he changes the angle like 4 different times before he shoots. Everybody in the NHL holds it out here.
Yeah.
And if they want to change the angle, they'll bring it in close and shoot from about just a foot outside their skate. He'll shoot from in front of his body. And you're like, the stick gets 0 flex. You have no idea how that's happening. No goaltenders. Like, a goaltender, you see 1,000 shots, and your mind reacts to the shot before it actually comes.
Yeah.
So you'll see the shot. The glove's already there when the shot's released because you're just going off muscle memory, and it's not pure reaction because nobody could react fast enough for that. It's learning where reading that shot. You cannot read Bedard's shot.
So this is the Jim Furyk of the NHL.
I don't know what that is.
So Jim
He's
Furyk,
a golfer. He's a golfer. Don't give a golf analogy.
But Jay,
come on.
Go look at Jim Furyk's swing in terms of golf.
Yeah.
You talk about the different, like it goes like 4 different angles before he actually hits the ball.
Right. Yeah. I have seen Charles Barkley swing.
Okay,
that's pretty different too.
It's in that kind of vein of unorthodox.
Okay.
Unorthodox, but Jim Furyk actually is was a professional guy. He's won majors.
And he won at a big high level, but
Chuck hasn't won a thing.
Yeah.
Chuck hasn't won a thing at golf ever. Like so.
Yeah.
Analogy is almost there. But Mammoth Blackhawks tonight, 6 o'clock pre. That's in 30 minutes. And then a 7 o'clock puck drop. We'll see if they can get this thing done. But it's going to be a good stretch here. They got a couple at home here. And then I think they go back out on the road for a couple, and then it's either way. They have a favorable schedule, whatever that means in the NHL. But can they get it done? That's the part.
Two pretty they got Pittsburgh in town Saturday.
Yes.
At Dallas, at Vegas, at Anaheim.
It's not that it's easy, but I'm like
Those are teams they match up with, though, pretty well.
You better beat Vegas. At this point, like, they have I think they're just, if they were in the Pacific, they would have been leading this thing. Like, let's not mess around here. So, all right, Jay, thanks for your help, man. As always, walking us through the game of hockey. And,
love it.
We love watching it.
I love that your kids are playing. I told you it's addictive, and it's like a virus, man. You've got it now.
Well, and it's infecting the Hatch household, too.
Yeah,
good.
Love it.
My son is, he told me the other day, I was like, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do when he grows up? You know what he told me, Jay?
What's
and he was
that?
dead serious. I want to play in the NHL.
Nice. I love it.
Hey, my kid's skating around the dang island in the kitchen, and his mom is furious most of the time.
Perfect.
All right. Thanks, Jay. We appreciate it. We'll catch it tonight, and we'll see how this thing goes. Jay Stevens, everybody. Utah Puck Report is where you can find that podcast and get the inside scoop on the Utah Mammoth. We'll take a break here. We'll come back. More to go around the corner, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. Before I get out, Trajan Wealth brings you this portion of the program. TRAJANwealth.com. That's Trajan Wealth. For all your trusted local needs in retirement, we'll get you a BYU Houston update from the Big 12 tournament over in Kansas City. More to go, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing.
When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome back, everybody. It is JJ and Alex, 97.5 The KSL Sports Zone. We're going to walk you all the way up to Mammoth Blackhawk coverage. Top of the hour, you got a 6 o'clock pre, and then you get a 7 o'clock puck drop. We'll see what they can do against the Blackhawks. Let me see here. Jake Hatch, by the way, sitting in for JJ. Thanks for hanging out.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me in.
I always love having you on the program. It's a comfort level situation for me, just because I couldn't believe that we have been associates for 16 years.
It's been a minute. It's crazy to think about, but it's been people ask me all the time, like, you live in a dream? I'm like, are you kidding me?
I guess.
Come on.
I mean, sometimes. Have you worked with PK though?
That's usually the second question.
Getting up at 3:30 in the morning and then working with PK.
What's PK really like?
I would say PK is sometimes even more fun than the guy that he is on the. You can catch him at a moment where he can catch you on a. You can catch PK on a bad day.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But there's a lot of other moments where he is.
I had some guy be like, "Oh, I came up to him in the gym and he was like not even that nice to me." I was like, "Why are you bugging him at the gym?"
Yeah,
bro?
exactly. People don't want to be bugged at the gym.
Are you PK? I was like. I'm trying to get my lat pulls in, brother.
Trying to think. Who was I talking to? There's somebody in sports media, and this goes back years. We were talking, and they talked kind of about a similar scenario where they were at the gym, and they're like, I'm already trying to get back in shape, and I'm like huffing and puffing on the treadmill, and this dude walks over and is like, bro, what did you make of this last night in the game? He's like, bro, I'm just trying to.
Yeah, and if you're like me, the most embarrassing time of your life is when you're out of breath. Like
exactly. It's like, hold on.
They're like, he didn't even like to talk.
Roads,
Bingo. Yes.
Back to
what are we up to now on the?
I think we're at 10. I don't know.
At least 6 that we
It's
played
all right.
it. And
It's
you know
fun.
what? Didn't get enough.
No.
Still got a couple more segments left. We can still sneak it in. I had the over/under set at 8.5. So
Okay.
I'm hoping we get there.
All right.
BYU and Houston facing off right now in the quarterfinals. If you thought AJ DeBonce's legs were going to leave him, you were dead wrong.
Look at Rob Wright, by the way.
His mouth is just absolutely. I mean, he looks like a UFC fighter, dude.
Well,
like,
he has whole grill rearranged, and I have a dentist who, by the way, apparently is a BYU grad that's the on-call dentist for this tournament. Went into the locker room and rearranged his tooth. Got it all.
listen, that's the most Utah thing I've ever heard.
almost-
a dentist, they're like you talk about an oversaturated market. They're like, we need somebody who's available as a dentist, and they're like, call Utah, dude. University of Utah, BYU, they got this thing figured out.
I got to give Rob credit because he took a major shot to that mouth, and he's just shooting free throws. We saw the picture on TV. His mouth's kind of like a gape because I honestly I don't know.
Well, he's wearing like a
mouth,
special made mouth guard that's like definitely just trying to hold stuff together.
I made a Kevlar,
right?
Yeah.
And so, did Nevada end up taking the lead on GCU? Nevada, of course, watching the winner of that one to see who's going to take on Utah State tomorrow. BYU and Houston right now, 29-26, the Cougs hanging around thanks to A.J. DeBonce's 12 points currently. As he's going to no, they're not going to let that be a shooting foul. But 29-26, AJ's got 12 of those 26, and they're hanging around against a Houston team that is, man, they're so good on defense. But for some reason, BYU's also matching the energy right now. Good for them, a team that's not known for their defense this year. In fact, it's been the opposite. But A.J. DeBonce goes, oh, no, they are. He's going to go to the line again right here.
Well, it's 17
Oh, yeah.
So it's 1-1.
He's going to go on his 1-1 here. But, yeah, BYU hanging around, and A.J. is got the first one of those two that he's going to get at the line here. So they're down just by 2 right now with 4:29 left in the first half. And so I'm going to be honest, just right now, Jake, this looks like to me a way better scenario than I had pictured in my head. It wasn't that I wasn't giving BYU a shot. It was more like, how are you going to do after 3 games in a row, and now you're taking on the number 5 team in the country. This isn't just like a pretty darn good team in your league. This is one of the top heaviest leagues in the entire country. And when I say top heavy, it's because the top 4 or 5 teams are really dang good. I mean, Houston's a 2 seed, the number 5 team in the country. Yeah. Arizona won their 13th game of the year by 20 points or more, as they did today. Like, they just beat the heck out of teams. So we'll see how this one goes with BYU and Houston, but we'll give you the updates on those as BYU is now within 1, 29-28. Mammoth and the Blackhawks coming up in just a little while here, Jake. This is a massive stretch for the Mammoth because, I mean, right now you're in the lead in that wild card 1 spot. It's great that you're there. How can you maintain it? How can you keep that separation? It's just interesting to see how hockey works. Last year, it was the St. Louis Blues who went on a 12-game win streak toward the end of the season out of nowhere to be able to sneak into the playoffs. And to get to that, I mean, they had to get to 90-something points, and the only way they could do it was winning 14 of their last 18 games, and they went on a 12-game win streak to be able to do it. I don't know if you're required to do that if you're the Mammoth. You already know that you're not chasing down anybody in your division. It's so good. The Avs and the Stars and the Wild are uncatchable.
Yeah.
And they are going to be very, very tough to play. If you are the wild card 2 team, you're going to have to play the Avalanche. And that's unfortunate. If you are the wild card 1 team, you are going to play the leader in the Pacific Division, who actually is, toggling between, the Vegas Golden Knights and anybody else who's willing to kind of win on any given night. And you feel like you have a chance against one of those teams in the playoffs if you face them.
You'd like to think so. You brought up the point with Jay when we had him in. If the Mammoth were over in the Pacific Division right now,
it'd be in first or second.
Yeah,
it'd be right
exactly.
there.
So it kind of shows you the strength of the Central Division, and it's kind of how things go. But this is a squad. Speaking of Utah, the goal going into the season was to make the playoffs, and they're in prime position to do that. So long as they just kind of keep the pace that they've been going, they're going to find themselves in a pretty good spot. But if they do match up against one of those Pacific Division teams in the first round of the Stanley Cup playoffs, Alex, I got to fancy their chances of advancing.
I get nervous because there's so much pressure on.
There is.
Do you remember in November they had a stretch where they were they had one of the worst records in the month of November, and everybody was looking. I mean, I would be honest. We have Bear on every week on our program, and we were like, I mean, we're gonna have Bear on, or I hope we can have Bear on. Is he still going to be around on Friday? And that was honestly the conversation we had a couple times because it was getting so pressure filled, and man, they responded. And now you look at it and you go, okay, 7 out of 10 on the road that you just got point wise. How are you going to be able to now take advantage of the home games that you're going to have, and then beat the teams that on paper you're supposed to beat? And I think that they made some moves at the trade deadline that were good enough to be able to say, we're going to stay right here, and we're going to keep rolling. And I think that they're in a good spot here, this team, going into the next couple of weeks and the next 17 games for this team.
Yeah, well, just kind of keep things rolling. I know that the Minnesota game, man, it was a brutal watch, but that's the tail end of a 5-game road trip. Minnesota is one of those teams that's firmly entrenched atop the Central Division, and they only got better at the trade deadline. I kind of write that one off and say, okay, you kind of you let that one go, because the 4 games on the road trip before that, they picked up 7 points out of it. So they had done a lot of good work. So I just feel like so long as the Mammoth just keep doing what they have been doing most of the season, quite honestly, they're going to be in a very good spot, and they should be feeling fairly confident about their chance at getting into the playoffs. And then at that point, let's say, and you and I both know this, we both, I think, admittedly, are kind of novice hockey people, but what I know the Stanley Cup playoffs, you get a hot goaltender, Kirry Vejmelka goes on a heater, you're going to be dangerous. And it also the same thing for your offense. If your forwards, the Coolies, the Kellers, the Gunthers, they get on a heater, you could be in a very good spot as well.
Let's take a break. We'll come back. AJ DeBonsa going to the line again here with BYU just down 1. If he makes these two, they're
hanging tight.
They'll take a quick lead here.
Yep.
I don't know if it's going to last, but my heavens, they're playing their butts off. So we'll take a quick break. We'll come back. More to go. Get you ready for hockey coming up at the top of the hour. 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone.
Ladies and gentlemen,
the biggest name. You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
With a massive block under the hoop from Keba Keita, BYU, who just took a 2-point lead with the last minute left in the first half between them and Houston, the number 5 team in the country. AJ DeBonsa was 16 right now. They're up 36-34, and they have the ball. Man, I'm shocked right now how this thing's going, but why not?
Oh,
as
geez.
Kostic just hits a 3 and goes 39-34 with 38 seconds left in the first half.
So this has been, frankly, an incredible first half for BYU, because they played 2 games, and this is the 3rd game in 3 days. This is now 100 minutes nearly of basketball they have played. The next 20 minutes is going to be the one that's really going to test you.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Utah Mammoth hosting the Chicago Blackhawks tonight across the street at Delta Center. Get a couple games at home here. They had a couple days of rest, and they said they needed it, and I think, Jake, that they did. And I'm hopeful, as the Blackhawks are coming off also of the last time they played was on Monday.
Yeah.
So they've also got a lot of rest in them, but they're going to be here at home, and they've got a team that is well motivated to try to beat these guys, because the Blackhawks are 3-0 against the Utah Mammoth this year, and they are second to last in this division.
Yeah, go get the 2 points. This should be a game that you should be able to pick up 2 points relatively easily.
Go get that win. Let's see how it works out for them. And you've got yourself, of course, the call here on the KSL Sports Zone. Mike Foltz is going to have that call for you on the radio side of things. A 7 o'clock puck drops this evening at 6 o'clock. Right around the corner, you've got Mammoth hockey. Stick around for it, and we'll be back again tomorrow on a Friday edition of JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.